Welcome to the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing Podcast with your host, Mike DeHaan and Dan Austin. From wins, losses, horror stories, and tactics for optimizing your business, Mike and Dan take a real, uncensored deep dive into the ins and outs of running a full-time real estate investment and wholesaling business.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 11 of the Collecting Keys Real Estate Investing Podcast. We are coming up right before Christmas here, years of 2021. I feel my concept of time over this past few months, year and a half has been so fucked up because there's been several times where I've been like, that only, like movie stuff like that only
right.
came out in 2019.
Yeah.
Right.
It's 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
So long ago. But then also I've had the opposite effect. We're like, oh, that movie's pretty recent. Oh, actually it came out in 2008.
Right. Yeah.
Like, no, not really at all.
Yeah.
And I just have no idea.
Well, it's like you try to, I just try to gauge it now by when we bought a property, right? Oh, that was before the duplex or that way,
Right. Yeah. But even then, we have that stuff. And there's times where I'm like, I don't know if, next week is 2022 or freaking, June of whatever next year, right? It just all over the place. But how's stuff been going though? I think you've been all over the place. Where our business always goes, where the acquisitions side is really busy, then I'm kind of slamming, and then once the acquisitions all come together, you sort of pick it up because you start taking over all of our projects.
Yeah, it has been busy. We're it's kind of interesting, how you're right. It does. It's like the head of the whatever animal whips the tail kind of thing. And so that's where we're at. We finally just finished up a couple projects too, which is cool to go live on both Airbnbs this month. So that was cool. And then we're starting to flip. And so getting all that stuff ordered and ready to go. And we typically order all the material package up front. We know what we use, right? We're pretty standardized and all that sort of stuff. But getting our contractor lined out there to start cutting up the floor for new plumbing. So that's really cool. And that project's, we're hoping for 6 weeks is what he's quoting 8, but he says he thinks he can get done in 6. So that'll be sweet for the extensive amount of work we're doing on that project to add the square footage. I'm going to be pretty pleased. I'll be happy if we do 8, but if we get 6, I'll be super jacked.
And if we get that whole thing done in 8 weeks, that's freaking flying. You think about some of the other projects we've done, looking back a couple of years ago to, I don't know, like the 6th Ave duplex and the other rehabs, which are kind of similar size in terms of they're going down to the studs. Those things took 5 months.
Yeah, poor contractor management. It's poor contractor management, and not just us managing them. It's them. It's them managing their own time, right? And we fortunately are at a point with our contractor that we have enough work to keep him busy. And if we don't, we find something for him because he's not in-house, which at this point he might as well be, right? Yeah. As far as keeping him busy with everything we do. And so we just have enough. And we can't benchmark 6th Ave because I think that's the first and hopefully the only time we'll ever renovate a house with a tenant in it. That was crazy. If you look back at it, that was stupid. We made the right move. It's paid off, but the situation of how it was when we bought it, you had to renovate it so that the poor disabled girl didn't get water on her face every time they flushed the toilet. That was terrible.
Yeah, that was a really bad situation. That was the definition of scummy landlord, right? Where, what they had, I think the refrigerator worked, but none of the other appliances worked. The upstairs bathroom didn't work, or when they tried to use a shower or flush the toilet up there, it would drip water onto the bed of their disabled daughter who was bedridden. I don't remember what she had, but she basically had deformities where she had did she have no legs or super tiny legs? And it was kind of normal arm. But yeah, she was with it. Yeah, she was very cognitive. It's funny, out of everybody at the house, it was kind of weird because if you ever had a question about structure with a lease or what the situation was, you'd go talk to her.
Right.
But no one else in the house really knew what was going on, but they were all well-bodied. It was very odd. She spoke perfect English as a Hispanic family, and she was, the younger kids kind of spoke English pretty well, but they were probably 9 and 12.
That was great. Remember Jose,
Yeah.
the chubby little kid? He'd like
Yeah,
do
yeah.
stuff for like $20 around the house and
I
like, oh
know,
man.
just helping them like take out trash and stuff. No, I was, and then, well, then the wildest thing to me about that whole deal was the house was literally unlivable, but they were still living there. You know, major water issues. None of the windows were sealed, so every time the wind would blow, there was just like a freezing cold draft in there.
Hmm.
You know, they could use one shower, which was also basically collapsing. We learned when we started like doing work on it, and the whole thing just like opened up inside the walls.
Yeah.
You know, like just everything
Uh,
about it was terrible.
yeah.
And we went and we fixed the thing up, and then they're like, "See ya, we just bought a house in all cash," and they just moved out.
Right? Did not expect that.
I know.
Yeah.
Like we were like, "Oh yeah, we'll get it livable, and they'll just stay there for a couple years." Nope, they just were like, "See ya, thanks for this. We've lived in this spot for 10 years and went and bought their own home." I'm like, well, that's awesome, good for them, but you know, then it was an extra $60,000 in rehab that we weren't expecting to have to spend right then.
Right.
'Cause
Exactly. Yeah.
there was no way we were gonna be able to rent that thing in the condition it was in.
Oh god, no, just the smell alone from all the
Oh, I
grease on the
know.
walls. It was bad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
God, the grease and the chickens and the goat. Was there a goat? I
Yeah.
think there might have been a goat at one point that was
I'm
living in the
sure
basement.
I'm sure there was a goat, they were probably having like that was probably the spot in Spokane for
Yeah.
cockfighting. Like they'd go down there in the basement with all their chickens and
I
yeah, it
mean,
was so weird.
You're probably not wrong, man. They had a lot of chickens there.
Oh yeah.
It still smells down there. We went and like baking soda, the entire thing covered all in
Yeah.
plastic. Nope, still a farm down there. Yeah, it's a creepy ass basement. God.
That's so great.
But yeah, so that'll be good though. 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, now we're going into the problem where we're turning stuff too quick, man. I mean, now so we got to sit on hard money for no reason, unless
Right. Yeah.
unless we sell it. But
Yeah.
if we dive into that, I mean, I suspect what's going to happen, especially with the numbers that we have so far, is it's going to have potentially be a perfect bird deal, and it's going to cash flow pretty well. I mean, even though it's in a condominium and there's an HOA fee, the HOA costs only like $800 a year. You know, and with the
Still
cash
highway
flow,
robbery. Highway robbery.
right. I mean, exactly. What the hell does the HOA even do that it let the property
Yeah.
get into the condition it was in when we bought it?
Yes.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like every HOA, honestly.
Yeah.
But even though I posted that on Facebook, I made a joke about how HOAs are useless, and my mom commented. And she was like,
Saw that.
it's not a fair comment. Not all HOAs are useless. I'm like, Mom, you live on a freaking golf course. Yours isn't.
Right. Yeah, that's a little different. HOA. I saw that. I knew what you were going to say. I thought it was funny. I laughed because I knew how you. It's like, ooh, is Mike going to do it? Is he going to respond to his mom on Facebook?
Yeah, and I did. And I just completely.
I know you did it because you did what I would do. Just ignore my mom. Yeah, that's funny. Oh man, yeah, that's a tough one. Like I've already thought about it. Like the biggest challenge on this one will be once we wrap up is like, do we just keep it? Not that that's a bad choice, but it's like we got multiple exits on it like usual, and it's probably going to go super well. And we're like, well, shoot, that's maybe another $500 in cash flow, pure cash flow after everything, all the set asides and everything, and it's not a bad deal.
I know it's really not at all. I mean, and also too, I like that one. Like if you look at it from an actual structural standpoint, that'll be one of our best properties, just from like bones standpoint.
Yeah, we got
like,
some better ones. That aren't in the weird duplex condo situation.
Yeah, for sure. But like, you look at that thing, we're not going to have any weird structural stuff that's going to come up for the next couple of years. There's like a lot of other properties you're never quite sure when they're like 100 years old.
Yeah, we definitely have a few 100-year-old properties that we've had to fix. But like I think like like Frederick's a pretty solid, that's a good house, good single family that's, built in the 50s, so it's pretty sound. And this one was built in the 70s, so it's pretty sound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
need to be made a little bit prettier. Plus, it's just like a standard rental style property. As somebody that moves in there with the expectation of it is what's going to be with a rental. It doesn't have to be like extremely nice, but if it is, it'll go a long way. Quiet neighborhood, decent school district. Even with it being like a kind of duplex attached to the other unit. It's kind of funny because when you can obviously see it from the outside, but with how the backyard is spaced with a huge backyard and the inside of the property, it doesn't feel like a duplex.
No, it doesn't. It's weird. It has like a quarter of an acre just for the backyard of that one unit.
It's massive. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that because there is a fence or something between them, isn't there?
Yeah. There is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a
they
full
separate.
fence. Yeah, it's like maybe
Mhm.
we should throw an ADU back there.
Honestly, with the way the
There's enough
zoning's
room.
going. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and there's road access. What if we could? What if we
yeah,
could section it off?
that'd be
But
sweet.
we should
Good
actually
idea.
look into that.
I
Make a note.
definitely think if we can buy the lady next door, that would be sweet at like a decent price. That would actually
Yeah.
be a good move.
Yeah. We should just buy the whole thing, establish our own HOA unit, sell them off to
Hmm.
everybody, and then we can
Yeah.
collect $800 a year.
Right. Yeah. Seriously.
Why
Let's
not?
do it. It's not hard.
But yeah. Yeah, so that's cool. I don't know what's coming up. And then yeah, the Airbnbs have been going shockingly well. Like
Too
both
well.
times I know both times as they've launched, I've been amazed at just how quick things have started getting booked. Like we
Hmm.
launched a new one on, was that Saturday, after we texted back and forth and you're like, I don't think I want to launch it yet. It's not quite ready. You posted it, and then like 10 hours later, we got a booking for an entire month.
We have 2 month-long bookings.
I know. And one of the ones I was looking at, it sucks because because we had like the first couple booking discount. The dude is saving like $800
Well,
because of
that and so we've got the long-term stay booking. Airbnb recommended 57% discount. I was like, no way. So I put
no
20
way.
thinking I was being cheap. And then we got the first 3 bookings were 20% discount, which they recommend to get your first 3 bookings, 3 reviews. People are happy for the price, all that stuff. No. This dude, you're
Yeah,
right. Yeah, he got a great deal.
yeah. And it sucks, right? Yeah, 'cause he's getting that, he's booking that property for like significantly less than like long-term market rent.
Hmm.
And it's one of
Yeah.
those like, well, I mean, I guess we just kind of have to eat that. Like, it's not much we can
Yeah.
do about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
lesson learned. Like I was thinking about it from like the making sure the property itself is dialed in.
yeah,
Lesson learned, get your freaking pricing dialed in before you do anything because we're eating it in the shorts on both of our properties, even though they're cash flowing, like they're fine.
they're
With
not
even
optimized at all.
they're not optimized at all. And the problem is when you got we have all of February and March now completely booked with 2 guests. So that's 2 months out of the year that we're underperforming already off the bat. So that's
Yeah.
lesson learned there. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, March we still have some room. She booked what, 3 weeks, and she's
Yeah, but
paying like
there's already the first week of March is booked. I
by
think on
by
that one.
that dude, the one that got it in
Hmm.
February.
No, I
Was there
think
another one now?
yeah. I mean, I might be confused, but I thought there was somebody that booked it the first week of March, and then there's a 3 week booking after that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I know it's weird. It's like a different system, and you almost have to like gamify it too. Like, yeah, I can
Right.
tell there's going to be some experimentation. Then also too, it's going to be figuring out the ideal price to be getting the most bang for your buck with probably like less visits, then you get a little bit less wear and tear on your property,
Hmm. Yep.
and like less sort of like random costs for materials and things like that. Because when you think about it, if you can like double your price, but you have half the stays, that's net going to be the same, but you're going to have less potential risk.
But yeah, exactly. I think that's probably where ideally you want to be, right? Is optimizing it to
Yeah.
where you can be 50% vacancy, but have the exact same profit as 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know it'll be interesting to sort of get that calculator all built out as we start putting that together, especially as we start learning our costs and things. I mean, the one thing I can say is I immediately recognize the potential with it,
Right.
and how much money you can make, especially if it's because like I was kind of nervous when we first started it because there's like a lot of Airbnbs here, and I was like, well, how are people even going to find ours? Apparently, it's really freaking easy.
Yeah, I love how you say you're kind of nervous because I say I was nervous. Like, dude, this thing's gonna cash flow like a hog, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I believe you. Like, let's do it.
Well,
Meanwhile, you're like,
all I
I
know
don't
is
know.
I come from the belief of other people say that, and I generally like to think that we're smarter than a lot of other people. maybe
Right.
maybe maybe a little self-centered
Yeah.
there, but I mean, I don't know. We're doing okay, and but I think also too the big thing is both the properties, they look great. The photos look freaking awesome. We got a professional designer to get them all furnished. We got professional photos done.
Mhm.
And I mean, that makes all the difference. When you look at like a lot of our competition in the same neighborhood, it's very obvious that someone bought it and was like, oh, I'm going to Airbnb this, but I'm so cheap. I don't want to pay someone a couple $100 to go take photos. And the place looks like shit on the listing.
Cell phone pictures that are just terrible lighting. Yeah, I agree. I think just the photos alone and having like I don't know cute furniture or like whatever type of vibe you're going for is like 1,000 times, like 1,000% increase in your value.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like a one-time cost
Mm-hmm.
that's not a lot, and then it's gonna get you more bookings guaranteed.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but yeah, I can see why people get addicted to Airbnb though, because I said this the other day. It's kind of like a little endorphin rush when your phone goes off and you're like, sweet, I got another booking. And you
Right.
can like
Oh, dude.
see the money like instantly right there. Because getting rent checks is cool. It only happens once a month. You can make less money on Airbnb, but you're getting it like every 3 days.
Oh, dude. Sometimes like, we got a barrage of like bookings around Christmas to the point to where we have somebody checking out like Christmas Eve morning, somebody wanting to check in Christmas Eve night and leave Christmas Day, and then somebody wanting to check in the day after Christmas, which our cleaners like, there's literally 3 days of the year we don't work, and Christmas is one of them. And so it's like, it's a problem because we need to cancel it, but you can't be eligible for superhost status if you cancel. And so I haven't heard back from those folks yet. So I'm hoping I can avoid canceling it. And it's crazy because Christmas is right around the corner. So I got to figure it out.
You might be spending your Christmas out there scrubbing toilets. I mean, I'm not going to be here. I'll let that help you.
I don't think I'm going to be here either. I think I'm going to be sick that day.
But so I know it's an interesting new adventure there, but I like the potential. And I mean, I kind of put on my my one sheet where you're going through goals with my GoPod for GoAbundance. That I think it'd be cool to own something like that and like more of a destination. Now that like we kind of have it going, it doesn't seem like it's that difficult, and we got to find like kind of an up and coming destination. Because everywhere that everyone thinks about or has ever been spoken about on like Bigger Pockets or something like that, it's just so inundated with people outside of the area buying stuff. Like how many people from frickin' Washington are buying things in the Smoky Mountains, Tennessee? Like
how many people from everywhere? I've never been there. I have no desire to go there, but everybody's talking about Smoky Mountains.
It's because they have, they had that one dude. I follow him on Instagram. I don't even know his name. Who like was like, oh, I bought all these vacation rentals over there, and now I make all this money. So everyone's like, well, I can't think for myself, so I'm just going to copy what that dude does.
Right.
Let's go buy properties in the same area.
I mean, I'm not informed on that area, although we do market adjacent to the Smoky Mountains in Knoxville. But like,
I just pay retail plus for a vacation home over there.
No, but I mean, I had looked at some of them, and like, I'm an outdoors person. I like doing stuff outdoors, but they're quite literally cabins, just in the middle of the woods. I'm like, what? I don't know. I guess people don't get, peace and quiet. Maybe we're lucky here in the Northwest where it's easy to get out of town and like spend the day in like the woods, very peaceful. Maybe East Coast is not the same.
That is true. That is something that's pretty special to hear. I mean, in the Northwest in general, is you can drive not that far in any direction and be by yourself.
Yeah.
Even compared to when I go home to Montana. I remember Montana used to be that way, like Bozeman area, and lots of parts of Montana it still is, but you go to like the cities. You go to anywhere within a reasonable driving distance of Bozeman, you're out there with 50 to 100 of your new best friends.
Right?
Friends that you want. They're the ones that you're stuck with because you have to go to the same summer camp.
The ones with all their Patagucci puffies on and they're hiking and like.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And you're like, I remember one of the last times I was over there for the summer. We're going to do this hike with my in-laws. We literally roll up and there's like a dude with freaking cones directing traffic for where to park. I was like, I remember coming to this hike when I was a kid, and you had to like park like off in the trees because there was nowhere to go. Now they have like a paved lot and they have like Disneyland style parking. You're like, oh, I'm in like C lot. On a stupid hike.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
But the Metaverse is going to change that.
That is the real topic. We are launching a new mastermind course, how to wholesale Metaverse real estate.
We're going to wholesale NFTs and real estate. Yeah,
right. That's going to be a thing at some point in the future, though. Honestly, if you think about it, right? Like, you get these people that are buying real estate in the Metaverse right now. There's going to be people that don't know what the hell they're doing and are overpaying for it. And then it's like, okay, so you just bought this space because you bought Ethereum a number of years ago, and now you have $100,000 worth of Ethereum, a couple $100,000 worth. You go and you buy this Metaverse lot for $200,000, and you're like, yes, I want to. I'm so happy I made this decision. And then a year from now, when you realize you made a big fucking mistake, and your Metaverse Ethereum lot is only worth $30,000 and no one wants it, we'll happily come and buy it from you for 12
Absolutely.
grand and then sell it to somebody
Yeah.
for 20 who's looking for a discount.
So here's my question. So you hear a lot of people buying stuff like NFTs in like Ethereum. Is that like the only currency you can use in the metaverse, Ethereum, or can you use Bitcoin? Can you use other
No.
coins?
Oh, you're showing your lack of knowledge here, Dan. No, yeah. So like you can buy them with everything. It kind of depends on what blockchain the metaverse is built on.
Oh wait, so there's multiple metaverses?
Yeah, there can be basically infinite, right? And so that's actually one of um, the use cases for a lot of the different companies, right? Is
Hmm.
they're building the metaverses that utilize their blockchain, right? And they'll have like you know, different sort of themes or purposes, like use cases for them. And then they'll use their own coins within those. But I mean, a lot of them are built on Ethereum. Like Ethereum is sort of described as like, it's like AWS, right? You build,
Yeah.
um, your own blockchains on top of Ethereum.
Yeah.
But, like a lot of cryptocurrencies are Ethereum, but Ethereum is not necessarily those coins, does that make sense?
Gotcha.
So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's like how websites now are built on Amazon Web Services, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Amazon like owns that website. But at the same time, if Amazon decides they're gonna make an update or shut everything down, that kind of fucks everyone up. So that's also the
Yeah.
risk with like Ethereum, right? Is if they do a big upgrade to like Ethereum 2 and your coin isn't on the Ethereum 2 network, then that can basically screw up your entire thing.
Oh boy.
So then it kind of comes down to, everyone says it's decentralized, but like, is it really though? If there can be
Yeah.
changes to like the base of it and it kind of fucks
Yes.
up your whole thing, it's like,
Yeah.
it's not that consistent, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, I guess like because it's so decentralized, even like you talk about AWS and like all that, the cloud and stuff like that, but it gets taken down super fast and it wrecks the world.
Like if AWS did?
Yeah, like cloud computing is kind of similar, like where they try to
Yeah.
decentralize all that stuff. Not like blockchain,
Mhm.
obviously, is trying to decentralize even further, but if there's still a bottleneck within that system, it doesn't matter how
Yeah,
decentralized you are. There's still a little
totally.
bottleneck that can take it
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and they even have that now, like especially with the transactional fees
Mm,
associated, like the gas fees they're associated on Ethereum are ridiculous. So if you want to
right.
do an Ethereum transaction right now, it'll cost you $700 because the gas fees are so
Damn.
high. Like if you
Wow.
want, you can send like a stupid low amount of money, and all the gas fees are kind of the same. They'll charge you $200. Like you want to send somebody an NFT right now. I was thinking about my sister-in-law's boyfriend. I was gonna get him something for Christmas, and he's like he's a young dude. He's been involved with the family for a while, not like an official part of the family yet. And I was like, what's something like casual I could get him that would basically be entertaining to me, and then nobody else would get it. So there's like this internet gift that reminds me of him, and it's this dude from like North Dakota, and his whole thing is he goes like, I'm just gonna send it, and then he just like fucking sends his snowmobile off these huge jumps. So I
Yeah.
was gonna try and make that GIF and turn it into an NFT and give it to him, and just as like a inside jokes or thing, right? Just
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
looking into it, and I was like, but to transfer it to him would cost me $300.
Oh
So
boy.
I was like,
Yeah.
screw
Screw that.
that,
No.
not worth it at all.
No. He's not even in the family officially
I
yet. That's
know.
that's
Yeah,
like
sorry,
deep
Ryan,
in the
you're not
family.
getting that NFT anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, man. $20 limit, dog.
Yeah, yeah, right. You can make it for pretty cheap, but send it over
Oh
is
yeah.
just it's a stupid thing.
That's
But
great. Wow.
yeah, and so that's like a big part of it. And then obviously there's like the software side of it as well, when as things get updated, because basically how it works is that there's all the different people that are operating on all the miners. If they're going to do a software update, they basically have to all agree. And this is what happened when Bitcoin forked a number of years ago. Remember when they became out, when there was
Mhm.
Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash became a thing, is because
Mhm.
half of the people didn't want to update to the new Bitcoin. So all the people that sell on the old version, all of what they were doing turned into Bitcoin Cash, right? And that became its own separate blockchain. Okay, and now it's a fork, right? It's a complete like a complete split
Right.
in
Yeah. I get what you're
in the
saying. Yeah.
currency, right? But now technically everything that operates on the Bitcoin blockchain, which is nothing, but things that were operating on that would no longer operate on Bitcoin Cash, or they would only operate on Bitcoin Cash or on Bitcoin. They wouldn't operate on both. So same thing happened with Ethereum. So if they split it in two and people don't want to update the new one, now there's like two versions of it. Then what happens when like people stop mining the old version? All that stuff just goes away. And I think that's kind of the issue is people like they don't trust the government. They're gonna instead trust a bunch of fucking nerds in their basement, or in their giant industrial facilities mining all this shit, who are only doing it because they want to get rich off of their fiat currency, which they apparently don't believe in. Then why the hell are they trying to make so much of it?
I know. Why do they want it? So they can sell it into fiat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's ridiculous. But,
goddamn keyboard warriors. That's your clan over there.
Pretty much. It's slightly different. But, it's such a weird time right now because like shit like that's so big and people are so anti-government, which is understandable. But then, there's just like I feel like, being openly anti-government is just like the new cool thing. Whereas like I feel like in the past, if you did that, you were kind of like, people would kind of disassociate with you a little bit because, you're like, oh, it's John Lennon. Like they hate the government, but I don't want to openly do that. Now you have Elon Musk just straight tweeting at every person that even comes up against him, just burying them in the dust. Like that exchange he had with Elizabeth Warren, where she posted an asinine thing. He was voted Time Man of the Year. And she posted something like, oh, why don't we make the Time Man of the Year someone who doesn't freeload off of others or something ridiculous, which is like, you obviously don't understand how a business works, Elizabeth Warren. The guy has built these huge corporations that, have provided massive opportunity for other people. There's people that work underneath him that do very well for themselves. Yeah. Started from nothing and from freaking South Africa. Right. It's not like he's from some, rich family and just like leverage that. But yeah, she retweets the Time article, tags him, and he responds to her. And I think the wording was like, you remind me of when I was a kid and I'd go to my friend's house and their mom would just start yelling at people for some reason, which I feel like everyone can kind of relate to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then he made a point of pointing out because he just sold all that stock after he tweeted at Bernie.
God, I forgot I always forget you're still alive.
Yeah, I always forget you're still alive. And then he's like, he's like, here, you want me to sell $13 billion worth or whatever? Yeah. He's like, sure, I'll do it right now. And he did it. And now he was tweeting back at Elizabeth Warren, and he's like, in case you didn't know, I'm about to pay more taxes than any American ever has in history. He said, don't spend it all at once. Oh wait, you already have. Yeah, no shit.
I love it, dude.
And amongst all like, I feel like free thinking entrepreneur type people, that's like the coolest thing someone can do right now.
Yeah, he's like the coolest like FU in America right now for most people.
Right? Yeah, right. I know, which is funny because he's one of the richest people in the world. Like if you look at his sort of financial position and what most people a lot of people kind of stand for with their sort of anti-establishment, anti-billionaire sort of views, he should be like not sort of held with that high regard, but it's kind of hard not to when he's just like still such like a real person.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like Jeff Bezos, who's in like a similar financial state, but he's just like, oh, I'm just over here on my $180 million yacht, just, keeping the peasants away. But who was it that was telling, I can't remember who it was. Somebody was telling me about one of the billionaires, not Bezos, but they have like $100 million yacht that has like 200 staff that operate it. But the guy doesn't like the staff around. So he bought another like $40 million yacht, which is where the staff sleeps. And he had both of them modified with heliports so that the staff could get on the helicopters from his yacht to go to their yacht to sleep for the night so he can party on the boat without them having to be there. And then when he's ready for breakfast, he just like flies them over from their yacht to his yacht.
I mean, honestly, when you're that wealthy, it makes sense because you might be wanting to do some weird stuff that you don't want the staff to, be involved
I know, right? Yeah,
That
like
is
going to
crazy.
Epstein's Island. That's what they need to keep
Seriously,
them
right?
away from.
Hey, we're gonna reroute here. Let's leave the staff out in the ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
God
Yeah, make
damn.
them over there so they can't see where we go.
God
God,
damn.
the whole thing's freaking asinine. But anyway, we're such a weird. It's such a weird space in the
Yeah.
world right now. Like business finances, especially too. This is something I think about on such a regular basis. There's this huge anti-wealth, sort of anti-money movement going on right now because there's such a huge class discrepancy, which is a class
Mhm.
divide, which is very apparent and obviously a major situation. But the thing I struggle with is it's never been easier to make money in the history of
Yeah.
mankind than right now.
It's seemingly easy from all the side hustles that you can just do. I mean, they did, what do they call it? The Great Resignation this last year. I think a lot of people did
Mhm.
realize that. They're like, you
Yeah,
know what? I'm not getting ahead doing the corporate life, so I might as well do my own thing, even if I break even to where I
yeah,
was at corporate in the corporate world. But you have the freedom and the ability to think and make your own decisions.
exactly right. I mean, you look at like, well, I don't know what an average salary is in the United States these days. Let's say it's like 50 grand a year, 50, 60 grand a year,
Mm,
which is probably about par, depending if you look at all the states. I know Washington's a little bit
yeah,
higher than that.
yeah,
But if you go and you get some side hustles, you work like a part-time job, maybe you get like one or two like sort of higher income events per year where you flip a house or
hmm
I don't know, you get one higher ticket client to, pay you a little bit extra for something. How easy is it to make $5,000 a month? Honestly,
it's
it's not
not.
overly
Yeah,
difficult. I
yeah,
mean, you're gonna have to work hard for it to get to that
hmm
point where it's sort of on autopilot and you're able to do it on a regular basis. But it's not like way back when, before like the internet, or honestly, I think the biggest thing has been the mass adoption of this kind of exchange, right? You're at your
yeah,
house, I'm at my house, and we
yeah,
can now do these things remotely. I mean, even
yeah.
2 years ago, how weird was it being on video chats with people?
Yeah, never. You never did it unless you know what I
Never.
mean. Like very rare. Yeah, and
Mm, You know,
I think it has a lot to do with like also like the idea of just like crowdsourcing and like using the leverage of a crowd, whether that's
mhm.
from something like an Airbnb or like actually like crowdsourcing funding or doing that sort of stuff, and the internet and this way that we're interacting has become so much more commonplace that it is more people are more comfortable. I mean, think about it. Like we bought a house and flipped it in a completely different state, never went there with people. We partnered with people that how many times did you interact with in person?
One for like a
One.
total of like 48 hours. Yeah.
Right. But you would probably say that you're friendly, right, with
Yeah,
them
for
and that
sure.
you would pick up the phone and call them, right? And so that relationship is built, that trust is built, and you don't have
Mhm.
to be like grinding it out every day with them to
Yeah.
make money. It's
Yeah.
a pretty
I mean,
interesting concept.
and not only that, but our take on that was, what, 35,000 bucks for a
Yeah.
couple months of work, and that's not really that far off from the 50 grand that I mentioned just before. And that was one deal,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
it's like, yeah. And I mean, if you sort of put in the legwork to figure it out, which now is easier than ever too, because you can learn anything on the internet via YouTube or via, honestly, people like us, right, who are kind of doing it and are just putting stuff out there. You can just
hmm
reach out to people and you'd be surprised at how many people are willing to work with you and,
Yep.
teach how to do stuff. It might cost you a little bit of money, but at the end of the day, people will scoff at, paying someone $1,000 to learn something. It's like, but they
hmm
don't scoff at paying university $100,000 to go get a
hmm
4-year degree that's gonna, you know, tie you down to a desk and get you a pretty low
Yeah.
earning wage for the first number of years of your life.
Yeah.
But
Well, and like, and there's like, I'm thinking about it, and there's a couple ways to make money, like transaction, like couple types of transactions. If you simplify it, there's like some really low end transactions, like you're going to go sell burgers to somebody, or
mhm,
you're going to go sell a widget to somebody, and it's cheap. Um, and your cost of production versus profit, like the profit is just less per widget. So you need to have quantity. So you need to be really good at marketing and using online platforms to sell things to people that way, or you can just do a handful of really big transactions, which happens to be
yeah,
real estate, right?
mhm,
I'm sure
correct.
that there's some pretty smart dudes out there that are individuals like flipping cars, which would be like the second most expensive thing people buy.
Mhm,
But from a standpoint of why real estate, kicks ass is that you could do 3 or 4 of those transactions where you don't even have to be at the property, or you could be at the property. It doesn't matter. And the amount of time it takes you to do that is way less than working 2,080 hours a week for your $55,000, $60,000 corporate salary or
mhm.
whatever your average income is across the country.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're talking about we're starting a flip, or we did, and we've engaged a contractor, put the material package together, and there'll be some checking in and checking up and doing some things here and there, making decisions, but it's not 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right. You know, it's
Yeah.
me at 6:00 at night, making sure that the materials are going to be on site tomorrow. Right.
Mhm.
It's, you know, me on a Saturday swinging by and checking in on the contractor's work. Like, yeah, he did what he said he's going to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not sit and butt time.
For sure. And we built up to that efficiency, right? And starting
Yeah.
out, you know, it's a lot of work. But even then, if you got to put a lot of work in on that property on the first one, you 2 in a year and you make $100,000, I guarantee you that was still probably a better time than sitting in some soulless job that you hate, you know,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
just sitting there watching the time tick by and waiting for your next paycheck. Because also,
Yep.
too, let's be honest, even if net it's the same amount as your salary, if you get it in one fat check, that definitely feels way cooler. You
It
know,
does
it's
feel
just
cool. Yeah.
it's just like with the Airbnb. It's like
Yeah.
maybe we made less money this month, but it hit me when I didn't
Yeah.
expect it, so it was much more
Right.
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. The people at the bank think you're pretty cool when you come in with a check that big.
Yeah, right. I know that one of my flips I did. I lost money on it, but I got $112,000 check, 112, something $1,000, and I got it printed out purely so I could hold a 6-figure check in my hands. The first one, you know, when I went to the bank and they're like, "Wow, what do you do?" I was like, "I lost 25 grand on this deal."
I take my money and then I lose some of it, and then I bring a
Yeah.
little bit back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but hey, you think I'm cool, bank teller that makes 45
Yeah.
grand a year and would be a
Yeah.
perfect fit for this conversation, that you should
Yeah.
go find something else to do if you hate that job.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. My bank tellers always seem to be happy.
yeah, they have to be.
They're friendly. Customer
They're
service.
one requirement. That's true.
Right.
All right. That's a good place to wrap up. Any quick lessons learned, Dan?
No, not this week, other than price your Airbnb properly before you go live.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would
That's
say,
honestly it.
yeah, I would say make sure that you learn the system before you entirely trust the system. And
Right.
whatever that is, whether that's, you know, buying properties, you know, learn how an escrow system works before you just expect the escrow company to do it right. You know, learn how a lending process works before you expect their lender to do it right. Learn
Mhm.
what a contractor needs to do before you just trust a contractor to just go ham on your property. You know,
Yep.
learn how to use freaking Airbnb before you just turn it on and see what happens.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Yep.
all those things will cost you money if you don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, that was my lesson learned last week, was figure the system out. And I think we generally did, but the more we're learning about it, like, you can't know everything ahead of time, but the more we're learning about it is just how critical months out of pricing. Like, I'm worried about like the next month, not 3 months from now on that. And it's like, you should, you know, price appropriately and expect those sorts of things to happen, because the internet works. It's a magical thing, and people find your property quickly and book it.
Yep. Yeah, they do, surprisingly quickly. All right. Well, thanks, guys. That's it for this week. Again, my name is Mike DeHaan. You can find me at Mike_invest on Instagram. You can find Dan at Dan, Investorman Dan on Instagram. Go ahead and hit us up a DM. Check out our website, collectingkeyspodcast.com. You can download our ebook, which is the 5 steps, start generating off-market leads. Something new for this next week. If you have listened to us and you have any specific question you want us to answer, go ahead and send me a DM or send Dan a DM, and we will chat about it on the next podcast. Besides that, everyone, this is the last thing you'll hear before Christmas. Have a great Christmas, and we'll have one more for the New Year's. And yeah, thanks, everybody.
All right. See y'all next week.
Thanks for listening. Please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out at collectingkeyspodcast.com for tips and guides on starting your own real estate investment and wholesaling business.